Hello, you're watching Time Warner Cable's local edition. This is the Sacramento Report. I'm Jaime Garza, and with me today is Senator Bob Huff. Senator, good to have you here.
Great to be here, Jaime.
As always, you guys are busy month after month right now trying to hammer out a budget. You have a group of 5 Republicans trying to work out some reforms with the governor here. I guess trying to reach some common ground. Set the stage for us at this point, because everybody is still waiting to find out whether or not any of these proposals will be going to the voters in June.
Well, it's hard to say. I mean, the Republicans are basically saying the Democrats have a majority vote for budget now, but they need some Republicans to go up and put this on the ballot. So they said, if you're willing to consider talking about reforming the problems that got us to this point, we might be willing to talk about helping you with that vote.
So 5, they call it the Reform 5, is that correct? Why so? Are there 5 points that are being looked at right now?
Well, there's 5 Senate Republicans that were actually entering into talks with the governor and trying to find this line that they could both agree on that would get some reforms in pension, cap and spending, and some of the regulatory relief we Republicans believe is necessary to get people back to work.
Let's talk about pension. Let's focus on that for a second. A lot of people have said a big part of the challenge here is that a big part of the pie deals with pension, and a smaller part deals with social services and other agencies like that. And because of that, your hands are tied as lawmakers. What are you proposing in terms of dealing with the pension? Because when you say we're going to mess with the pension, there are a lot of people out there who say, a lot of blood, sweat, and tears, and I don't want that touched, and yet we're hearing lawmakers say we may need to cut that down.
Yeah, actually, and the pension is more a long-term problem than it is short-term, but you got to start now. Actuarially, that's over a 20-year frame. We're somewhere at the conservative side of $136 billion underfunded, and on the top side, according to Stanford report, about $500 billion underfunded. That's very significant. So that's not something that kills you this year and next year and next year, but if you don't deal with it, pretty soon you've got such a huge problem, you can't sustain it with the general fund. And so that's why they're trying to reform this now. The public pensions that we have developed over the last 30 years have become unsupportable. You absolutely have to reform it, probably on a new hire forward, but there's some thoughts that we actually ought to be looking at some of the folks that are in it right now, either them paying more or less medical benefits in retirement or things like that.
I wouldn't want to be in your shoes right now, because there are going to be a lot of upset people with this.
Well, there are a lot of upset people, but on the other hand, the people having to pay for this are upset also, because you just can't sustain the level that we have been promising.
Pulled in both ways here. Let's talk about regulatory reform. Let's talk a little more about that.
We have 12.4% unemployment in the state, second highest in the nation. We believe, the Republicans believe, a lot of this has to do with just the regulation after regulation we have put upon business that they just throw up their hands, they say we're going elsewhere. Or when they're locating between a neighboring state and ourselves, they say California's too difficult to deal with, we will go to Texas. And we've heard that directly from the governor of Texas. Y'all just keep doing what you're doing, we love your businesses. And so we have to unwind some of those regulations to get the jobs created to put people back to work.
Well, I hear a lot of small business owners pull me to the side when I just go down the street here and have lunch, who say to me, it's very, very difficult because there are so many hoops to jump through, not to mention what's costing me in the pocketbook. So we've heard that quite a bit. Spending cap in the last minute we have here, should we just budget the state budget as we do our home budgets?
Absolutely. And a home budget, your spending cap generally has to do with how much revenue you have coming in. The state looks at it just the opposite. We have all these expenses. How do we get the revenue we want to fund that? A spending cap forces priorities, and as difficult as that may be to those that are used to just growing government at the rate they want, even within this recession, government has grown by $10 billion in the overall spending. And in the governor's budget, who's projecting out 5 years, it will grow 31% while those tax extensions are in place with no plan to backfill it. We got to throttle back the size of government.
Senator Bob Huff, we'll be watching the Reform 5 and see how far we get on that. And then, of course, everybody waiting to find out whether or not we'll be going to the voters to get some of these reforms that the governor wants approved. We want to thank you at home for watching Time Warner Cable's local edition today.